And a 3. A 2. A 1. And welcome back to Chasin The Racin.
I thought you were taking the piss.
Episode 31. And we're back. We're back. 1 week after our last one, we're getting these podcasts smashed out at the moment, aren't we?
I thought it's typical though, because obviously we're here. We're not here. Sorry, next week. Sorry to put a spoiler on everything, but we're not here next week. Obviously commitments and that. But like you say, we're being busy little bees.
That's it. And we've already recorded the interview of the podcast, which is quite long. So we'll have to make it a nice, short, sweet intro and an outro. But first of all, big thanks to our loyal sponsors: Incontango Training, a leading risk, finance, and treasury consultancy. But more importantly, bike racing fans. I've been thinking we need to, because there's such a loyal sponsor and they're on every week now, we need to come up with a little catch, like a catchphrase or maybe a theme tune for them, like when you listen to like proper podcasts.
Have you been drinking coffee again? These mad ideas. Well, actually, obviously we won't say it now, but obviously we're having a little bit of a pre-chat about the events and what's coming up and stuff, but they've got some exciting news, haven't they?
In contact. Yeah.
Play with. Come on, Chrissy. Play the game. So play the game. I know that's it.
Yeah, we've got actually a guest coming on soon. Incontango Training are going to be back in the People's Bike, the TT this year. I don't know if the news has been announced who's riding for them, so we won't spoil that now. But
do you actually know?
I do, yeah. But
all right.
Well,
I want to know. So after this, you can
we'll get. I think
fresh rumour mill, kids. Fresh rumour mill.
We're going to get the guys that run that team. Maybe on the podcast or whatever, and because it's a great initiative and like the ethos behind, find out about the ethos behind the team.
Yes, the ethos.
It's all good stuff.
Oh,
but
very nice.
Yeah, so we're going to be joined by Davo Johnson, and we're actually running quite late tonight.
I love this how we've gone from the word ethos to Davo Johnson. It's nice to have someone on our similar tone here. Well, definitely mine anyway. He's definitely a proper drat, the lad.
We had to wait for him to obviously get up in Australia, so it's nearly midnight here and we've still got loads to do. So, and we're both at work early in the morning. So.
And we're time travelling in this show now. He's in the future. We're communicating on the great beyond here, Chrissy. We're talking to people in the future. Marty McFly can kiss my arse here. Telling you.
I mean, it was a great bit crack. I think it's over an hour long, I think, isn't it, in the end? But he's had a fantastic year this year. Obviously,
a fantastic career. Mm-hmm. The things that you learn, and obviously you're going to find out for yourself what's coming up. But no, bloody hell, he's been a busy lad.
Before we get on with the interview, have you been up to much this week? Any crack?
I tell you what, right, because it's just done nothing but rain the last 2 weeks, and It drives your soul into the ground, Chrissy. I'm not going to lie. It drives you into the ground. And, I've been working with a bunch of lads up north there, and we've just got onto the simplicity of life, right? And how, quite frankly, crap it is. We're a collection of cells. We start off life, right, as like crappy yogurt, you know what I mean? And our sole purpose is to find an egg. We're not even sticky enough to make glue, you know what I mean? It's just like, and you just build up, and then you get all these worries. I'll tell you what, we're going to end up in a different conversation here, because I could ramble on for hours, but anyway, to put it simply, it's been soul destroying this week, because all I'm thinking is, what is life about? What is life about?
What's the crack? Do you get rained off if the rain's too bad, or do you just have to motor through it?
You just have to motor through it. It's we get paid for what we cut, and you've just got to bring on. Really, what they should do, as far as health and safety is concerned, is stop with lightning. There's lightning risks, but because we're all greedy and we've all got rents to pay, we all just crack on anyway. But no, how about you, son? What's your fresh crack?
Not great.
Rude. How's your fresh crack?
Not a great deal at the moment, obviously, with my shoulder.
We're still harping on about that, are we?
I can't do any. I literally can't do any training. I can't even run or anything. So I've started a little bit of physio, like isometric movement. So like they're like holds, so you're not moving, but you're putting pressure against the wall, things like that. But it's dead like mundane and just it.
Even looking at you now, you've got loads more movement. You're a lot more confident, which is brilliant. Obviously, you've got a hell of a season coming up, and this early on stage in your recovery, it's good to see the development.
Yeah, that's it. So at the moment, like, rest is best, and it's just a case of the last operation I had a few years ago. Me being me, they said, right, you need like 6 weeks in a sling, you need this, you need that. And after a few days, I thought, it's feeling alright. And I honestly, I wore the sling for maybe about 2 or 3 days, and then I was back to work straight away, carrying loads of plates at Nando's, and I just didn't. I really
mad to think.
I was stupid. I was stupid. I was arrogant and I was stupid, and I thought I knew best. And it probably cost us in the long run. So this time, I'm working with a real top physio over. He's called SJ over at like near Tynemouth, and I'm really taking on board what he's saying, listening, and doing it step by step, doing it by the books. And I'm hoping that'll pay dividends when it comes to the season, and hopefully, when hopefully I don't crash, but if I do crash, hopefully it'll stay in. And speaking of shoulder operations, I've just seen Mark Marquez is in again this year. He had a massive shoulder operation last winter on his right shoulder, which was absolutely mangled. When they went in to operate on him, the whole shoulder was absolutely cream cracked inside. But then he's had his left shoulder dislocate now, and he's had a few subluxations recently. And that basically means that like half comes out and then goes back in. It's literally the worst feeling in the world. And he's had a few. So he's
been battered about a bit.
Yeah, he's getting an operation this winter as well. So that's two winters in a row for him that he'll be out. And it's just a long drawn out process. A shoulder's such a complicated joint, and it's if you think about all the movements, all the range of movements, it's really difficult to get the physio right and make sure that everything's given the time for everything to heal up. So I'm really looking forward to, I think it's beginning of January I'm allowed to start running again and that type of thing. So I'm going to really really get after it once I'm allowed to. And I'm kind of looking forward to that. But I am enjoying, having a few months off and it's sort of letting myself go a little bit. But
see more fat on a butcher's pencil, you cheeky little sock. All I have to do is read the word Greg's and I put weight on. You don't know.
Look, tell you what, them. I don't know if Greg's is a national brand now, isn't it? Obviously originated in the northeast, and but I tell you what, bacon and egg sandwich in the morning with a flat white, $2.25 with a bit of red sauce. There is literally no better way to start the day.
You're nearly drooling here. Yeah, I saw your eyes glaze over.
Every day I say to myself, right, like I'm not going to do it, and then on the way to work I see that Greg's sign lit up, and I thought, like, go on, just today, and I'm in there most mornings.
I like to say January it all changes. Straight back to work.
It'll be back on the porridge and the eggs and bacon, I think. But
there we are.
So without further ado, have you got anything else to say? On the crack of this week, I was at the Shaky. Shaky was doing like a tour of the country. I went there last night at Ramside Hall, so it was Shaky and Matt Roberts, and that was a good evening. I enjoyed the crack. Learned a lot about Shaky, which I've watched him in BSB for years, but there was things I never knew about his history, and like when for instance he was adopted, and he had a real rough sort of upbringing, living on a council estate, and he was a bit of a rogue when he was younger, which he's like Mr. Professional at BSB. So to hear them sort of stories was quite interesting, and they did a section on like people from the crowd asking questions. So no, it was a good night, and I got to speak to Matt in the break for quite a while. And do you know Matt Roberts presents Eurosport?
Yeah. But not personally.
Yeah, absolute gem of a bloke. Really, really nice bloke. So, all good. And then we're quite busy. We're going to have 3 nights on the trot because obviously recording tonight, tomorrow night is North Yorkshire Awards night with Jack Bernagle. And then Sunday is Saturday, sorry. We're up at Ashington or
Ellington. Ellington North for the charity North Air Ambulance. Charity. And it was a sellout.
It was.
I can't believe it.
I'm so surprised.
I am. Of course, I'm looking surprised. You know what I mean? I've never been a sellout. It's the first thing I've ever sold out on. I'm pretty emotional, but obviously it's all going to a good cause. Hopefully it's a charity that we never use.
That's it.
But obviously it's a charity that is needed, and obviously every penny counts.
Spot on. And just before we get over to the guest as well, I just want to say massive thanks to all of our patrons. We're quite new to Patreon. We've only been on, a couple of maybe 2 weeks or something.
Yeah.
But I've been absolutely blown away by the generosity of our supporters, and we're up to 24 patrons now, and it's been good. For those that aren't aware, we're basically we're on Patreon, and there's 3 tiers on there. So we've got for $2 a month, every little helps. We've got for $5 a month, thank you very much. And for $10 a month, lovely people. And they're like 3 tiers. You get different sort of access and whatever for the different tiers.
And it's a good opportunity to listen to this show beforehand.
That's it, yeah. So for the top tier, the $10 a month, which I think is about seven quid,
that's 2 Greg's meetings.
You get the podcast sent a little bit earlier, and we're doing a thing where basically you can ask questions before the podcast. So we've had loads of great questions for our guest tonight, and we get to interact a little bit. And we've had some lovely messages from all around the world of people who are listening in, and we really appreciate the support. So thanks everyone who's joining in, and we're really enjoying. I am hoping at some point to set up some sort of live stream. I need to sort of figure out the technicalities, but what I was thinking is if we could do a little live stream before each podcast and have a bit crack with our patrons, that would be great. But that's not set up yet, but that we're working on it. And have you got anything else to say, or straight over to the guest?
No, we just need more of them, because obviously before I know we keep trying to get this guest on, but it's like we were just discussing there. We've already put 4 or 5 hours into this tonight. It's obviously every donation that we're getting, every patron that comes on board makes this easier, because obviously we love doing it. It's all good crack, but it's costing money to do it, isn't it, Chrissy? Mm. And it's obviously that is massively making a difference with our sponsors. So anyone would like to sponsor our next episode, please get in touch, or any businesses that you would like to put us forward to that we can get in touch with. That'd be awesome. That'd be absolutely awesome. But no, hey, Chrissy, finally introduce the guest properly.
Fantastic. So joining us from the other side of the world in the future. Is
Marty McFly.
It's obviously he was racing. Well, I was going to say he's the Honda man for this year, but I think he's raced for virtually every team in the paddock now.
The ultimate mercenary.
And without further ado, over to Davo Johnson. So we're joined by TT, classic TT and Macau Grand Prix podium finisher from this year, from right across the other side of the world. We're recording here at nearly 10 p.m. and it's, what is it, like 8 o'clock in the morning over that way. Joined by Davo Johnson. How are you doing?
Good morning, guys. Yeah, a bit, it's early in the morning for me. I'm on my holidays, so it's all good, though. It's all good. Hold
on. Right, what do you mean your holidays? You've just come back from China.
Oh, sometimes you gotta have a holiday from a holiday.
I like your style, son. I like your style.
So
it's all good. How are you, boys?
Yeah, not too bad. So we've actually just been watching Macau Grand Prix it's been on ITV4 over here. So we've just sat and watched the 2 laps that 2 or 3 laps that you took part in, and obviously it was a great way to end the season for yourself. We'll get on to sort of this year and like how things are going, but first let's go back to the start. And obviously you're very well known for the last 5-10 years of racing over here, but how did you first get into the road racing from back in Australia?
Well, buddy, take me back, eh? It was a long time ago now. I'm classed as an old bastard these days, but it's way back I started racing push bikes, actually BMX racing. And started that when I was 4 years old, and it's sort of my dad was always into racing. He actually raced superbikes in the 70s and early 80s, and then sort of gave it up when he had me and my sister. And he was racing all over Australia and doing all sorts of good things. He was quite a handy rider himself, and then. So that was a natural progression for me, and I was around bikes my whole life. My dad had a motorbike shop here in Adelaide, and to begin with, I didn't really like motorbikes. I was around them so much, I was just like, freaking motorbikes. I'm just over them. Like going to the racetrack as a kid, I hated it. I was like, give me my push bike, and just took off my push bike and rode around the outside of the circuits trying to find jumps and stuff. But so that's where it started in BMX, and then got to quite a high level in that did World Championships as a junior, and so we were traveling the world quite when I was like really young. Really, we did a full tour of America when I was 15 years old, and then so and then eventually I had to go on a motorbike when I was 16. I was at my peak of my BMX as well. I turned pro when I was 16, and but then I was just getting sort of over it really, because I was racing like 5 times a week, and it was really serious like thing to do, like if I wanted to do it properly. And then so I had to go on a motorbike around the local track here in Adelaide, Malala Raceway it's called, on a little 125 4-stroke. We couldn't blow the froth off a cappuccino. That's how short. But I was riding around, and I was shitting myself. I was like, "Fuck, this is so fast!" And through like the fast corner out the back, it's called the Kink. It's like the most daunting corner, or one of the most daunting corners in Australia. And I was like rolling off the throttle, just crapping myself. And then from that day on, I was just like, "That's it, Mick Dawn, look out!" I was chasing him down from then on. Just so I put the BMX bike. I still raced a little bit, but basically like as a top level, I backed right off and stopped. I did one more Australian Championship, and then focused 100% on motorbikes, and then it began from there. Did a couple of years in Australia. Yeah, 125 GP bike, and in 2000, and then jumped on a 600 in 2001. Crashed my absolute brains out. But like every time I rode the thing, I crashed it. Like it was ridiculous. But but I was always fast, so that was a good thing. And I was a bit like Chrissy actually. But you just like when you crash your brains out every time you freaking rode. Just scary to watch. But you finally work it out, don't you? But I got some interest from England pretty early on. So I did 2 years here in Australia, and then when I was just turned 19 or 18, or just turned 19, and got a deal to race in England. So I said, "Catch you later, Mum. I'm out of here."
What was the initial link with the UK? Like, did someone sort of talent spot you and bring you over, or?
Yeah, it was. There's a guy in Australia that is a good mate of mine. Lee Munro, his name is. He just saw what I was. I mean, he knew a lot of teams in England, and also Glenn Richards had a big part of it as well. And he once I got found, like once the team started spotting me, then they were asking Glenn about me, and so that once they could see what I was doing, that I was crashing all the time, but I was fast. So and you can tune a fast rider to stop crashing, but the opposite way is a bit hard. But so it was. They saw sort of potential, and this Lee Munro kept him in form, because it's that's how old I am. It was before freaking Facebook, and I only just had email, so it was quite difficult. I just had to keep bloody spending $5 a minute annoying them over the phone. But so it's the actual old days. It was tough, but so then they finally sorted out a contract for me for 2002, junior super stock, and they just said, "Pack up your stuff, mate, come on over." And I was left the nest. I barely even knew how to wipe my own ass, and took off. So it was
that a case? Were you based over here with the team, and like did they sort of provide everything to, like somewhere to stay and whatever over here for like the UK summer, if you can call it summer?
Yeah, well, I rolled in like straight into Manchester, and it was snowing, so it was and I come from like 40 degrees that day. I had shorts and t-shirt, and I forgot to put the warm clothes in my little backpack. So I definitely got a culture shock as soon as I arrived. But they initially they sorted out some digs with it's Roger Ditchfield. His name is Revolution UK. It was his old business, and I lived with his son Mark Ditchfield, who he actually used to race in the BSB years ago. I think like '98, and so I lived with them to start with, actually in Wales. Just on the way down to Anglesey there. I can't remember the little town, but that was another culture shock. I went into a little corner shop, and you get money from you get your money changed up here in Australia, and they gave me all these £50 notes, and I was like, oh, that's normal, because like in Australia we use 50s and 100s. There's no dramas. But I went to this little corner shop with a £50 note. They looked at me, they're like, I can't take that. What the freaking are you talking about? It's money. I just wanted to buy a drink. And they looked at me funny with a $50 note. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Why can't you take his money, mate? And I had a big argument with him.
I thought you were some sort of drug dealer.
I don't know. So that spun me out. I was like, well, it's money and I've got it. Why aren't you taking it? And it's just strange over there with how people don't accept $50 notes. But yeah, that's another story altogether. But and then I went and we did our first test at Alton Park. That was my first ever track I rode at. First ever track I rode at in the snow as well on that same day, which was pretty funny. But and then from then on I moved it to Hinckley with Glenn Richards, and sort of stayed there until I found a place to rent. So as soon as I got there, I was sort of just winging it. Really, it was definitely I definitely learned a lot about myself in that first year, especially.
So at that point, obviously, you've come over, you've flown the nest. You know, how did you afford to live? Were you actually getting paid to race at that point, or did you have to work between it?
Yeah, I was looking for a job as soon as I arrived, but I just finished my apprenticeship. I'm a qualified machinist, and I was CNC programmer as well. So
that sounded suspicious. You know, you can say a drug dealer. You know, you can say that on the show. You know, if you go into corner shops for £50 notes, we call that money laundering, son. You know what I mean over
here. Yeah, no, I actually did do my apprenticeship before I left, which is good. But you always got to have something to fall back on, you know, when the shit goes bad. But I was just so determined, you know, when you're young, you know what it's like. Both of you guys have been in the same situation. But yeah, once I got the ball rolling, I just sort of was chasing down whatever I could. But initially to get the ride, like I had to pay to get the ride, and it was basically my life savings. It was before I even I barely even got drunk before then, which is, I know it's going to be a shock to you guys, but I used to actually be quite a.
You soon put that
right. Yeah. Well, I didn't until I got to England. I didn't even know what going out was, and like it's I'm serious as well. Like I saved up all this bloody money, so that was literally my life savings, which was paid the tyre bill for the year, and that was the deal. And that got my foot in the door and got me away.
So did you say that was Super Stock 600 back then? Like the equivalent of...
Yeah. And it was, yeah. So that was with like Craig Jones, Tom Sykes, Cal Crutchlow. The list goes on with the guys that was in it that year. It was difficult to say the least.
Yeah, I bet, yeah. And how did you fare against the likes of those lads coming from Australia?
It was straight away. I think you either sort of sink or swim when you do that big move, and there's a lot of guys that have come and sort of got overwhelmed with everything and not really performed. But straight away, I managed to, like, I was in the top 4 straight away, and that had 4 on the front row. So I got front row at Silverstone the first round, and straight away in the mix. And then the next round, I was on the podium, and I was barely off the podium with Dyson with all those boys, and I was actually second in the championship halfway through the season.
Mm-hmm.
And basically had a bit of a drama with my visa, my UK visa to be in the country, and had to leave the country pretty swiftly. But I just basically just didn't do the right paperwork to begin with, which is frustrating now looking back on it, as where I was in the championship, and I was actually like in front of Sykesy and Crutchlow. Jonesy was leading.
Mm-hmm.
And Jones ended up winning the championship. And so it was, and then from then on, I was sort of chasing. If I finished that year, 2003 would have been a lot easier, but it turned out to be quite a tough year. Like I went to 2000 Super Stock on a Yamaha, and we were sort of in the mix. But the Yamaha, that was the point when the Yamaha was not really good enough, and the K3 Suzuki come out, and that was just like 20 horsepower more out of the box. It was like when the BMW come out in super stock here, it was just like so much more horsepower. And sort of struggled. I cut 7th in the championship, but it's like you need, as you know, you got to finish better than that to get the big deals for the following year. But it wasn't bad. We impressed enough people to get a good ride in 04. But it was sort of a mediocre sort of year, really.
Was it around that sort of time that Guy Martin was in junior super stock? Like
it was the exact same year, yeah. We were racing. He was one of the other big names we were racing against. So
what was?
And I actually. Oh, sorry. You go.
I was going to say in his book it has something about there was an altercation and he was up in Stuart Higgs's office and he like slammed his laptop on his fingers or something and he's never been allowed back in BSP since. What's the crack with that?
I was actually in the next room when that happened, and it wasn't Stuart Higgs. It was the Stuart Higgs before it was the boss before Stuart Higgs. I can't remember his name. But
hold on. Did Guy Martin kill him? So that's how Stuart Higgs got the job. Oh, this is drama, fresh.
We got done for the same thing as well. Like it was in a race at Rockingham, and Guy actually finished on the podium, and I was just away from that dice, but I was with him at the start, and I ran off as well. They've got these chicanes all over the joint, and if you run over the chicanes at all, even if you lost position, you got penalised, and I didn't give a shit because I was like a 5th or 6th anyway. I was like, I don't really care, like whatever. They gave me penalised me, and I finished 12th or something with the penalty put on. And Guy Martin was on the podium, and it was his first podium of the year, and he was all stoked. And then next thing they took it away from him, and he was pissed to say the least. I heard him yelling and screaming in the next room, and then the door slammed, and obviously there was a laptop that went down on whoever's fingers, the boss at the time. And then Guy stormed past. I was like, "Oh, what's up?" And he didn't say anything, just kept walking. This is obviously way before he was any sort of a big name. He was a kid. We were all kids then. And he took off, and then next thing I heard, he got the penalty. And then after that, or not just the penalty, he actually got banned for I think 2 or 3 years from the BSB paddock. And therefore, that actually, for him, a blessing in disguise, really, because it sort of set off his road racing career because he didn't have anywhere else to go.
Yeah, that's it. And then he started racing over in Ireland on the roads, and obviously the rest is history. Obviously, like getting to race with Guy and racing with him for such a long period of time. But like, what's your opinion on him? And do you like him on a personal level? And like, he's a bit of a Marmite character. I think a lot of people either absolutely love him or don't like him at all. What's your take?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I was his teammate in 2015 with Smiths. Like, he did the Super Sport, and I did all the bikes, and he was just in Super Sport. But so we spent a fair bit of time together. And I mean, yeah, I've known him since all those years ago. But obviously, people change through the years. But he's not a bad guy at all. He hasn't got a bad bone in his body, literally. And but he's on TV a lot, and that's why people judge. But as a person, is absolutely sound as a pound. Really, he's strange as hell. Like, there's no doubt about that. He's a freaking strange character. But as a person goes, he's a top bloke. I mean, he'll pretty much talk to anyone at the right time. If the only time I did see him come across arrogant is when because he's got a lot of attention around him, but he wasn't being arrogant. He come across arrogant to the people that wanted his autograph in the Parc Fermé Parc Fermé before you leave to go on the track at the TT there, and people ask him for his autograph by the pretty much dozens, and he was just like he was trying to get in the zone, and then he's like, "Come on, guys, just after I'll do it after, not in here," and then you could see people walking off going, bloody hell, what an arsehole. But literally not an arsehole. Anybody would have done that in the same situation. Like, it's just, so that's why it sort of comes across, when you're that popular, it's going to be hard, isn't it, to get, especially in that place. You know what it's like, Dom, in that when you're sitting there before you go on the track, absolutely shitting your pants. Like, last thing you want to do is sign 20 autographs.
Oh, yeah, son, I'm as popular as a fart in a spacesuit, so I don't have that problem. Yeah, it's you rock stars, you see. You BSB lads have that problem. Hey, right, speaking of arseholes and stuff like that, right, out of all these names that you've competed with, and obviously you've recently discovered when you moved to England, the party scene and that, who's like the biggest dark horse, you know, when you think still waters run deep and you think, aye, you wouldn't think he would do that. Go on, give me a name. I want a big name.
As in After Dark sort of situation.
After Dark, like, that's it. You know what I mean? Professionalism gets turned off, and you see him on, like, you see him in the local strippers with his top off, dancing with the girls kind of situation.
Oh, well, I'll tell you, the first one that comes to my mind is actually Eugene Laverty. Like, he just loves. He's on the dance floor. His arms are in the air.
Oh my God, we're ruining marriages right now, aren't we? This is class.
No, it's awesome fun to be around. No, he doesn't do anything bad. He just does all fun stuff. Obviously, he's Irish, and around the right crowd. That guy is so much fun. And he's on karaoke and all sorts.
I did not see that coming. Obviously, you see it on the telly, and he's just such a level head, isn't he? He's like Chrissy, you know what I mean? Just so level, and then he just wow, Eugene
got his party side as well.
He's
most of the guys that I hang out with, like Billy McConnell, is freaking obvious. So that guy loves a party. So it's
what's the best part you've been to with Billy then? Go on, give me a tale.
He's my best mate, so we pretty much don't go out without each other unless he's in England, I'm in Australia. But I don't know, there's too many to mention there, but we just have heaps of fun. He's coming back next week to Australia, so...
well, put it this way, right? I saw you coming in on the Isle of Man in Douglas, quids in, right? You got to the turnstile, right? You walked in.
Were you there?
I was there, son, right? And it was just straight away, no. Billy's not allowed in. And I'm like, right, what's gone on here? Go on,
I didn't even know you were there.
Go on, I was there, son.
I think he was just stumbling a bit too much, which is surprising. Like, they don't let you into the quids in. Usually, they don't let you in if you're sober. Like, I don't get that. And he went mental at that, really, because it was the day it was. The day before was the senior, so was it? No, yeah, the day before. So we're pretty much we had two big nights, and this is the second night. So basically, we're just walking around like zombies because we can't drink at the best of times, but we do give it a good crack. That's for sure. But so we got to the front there, and they let me in, no dramas, but they looked at him, and I don't know if he was just stumbling that bit too much. But he was very pissed off at that because he was all excited. He's like, "Oh, quid's in! What, you put a quid in and you get in?" I'm like, yeah, that's the deal. so when he couldn't get let in, he was very pissed off.
So obviously, you and Billy are like best mates, and like you live together over here, and spend a lot of time together. Am I right in saying that when Billy came over to the UK, he was a little bit of a bit of a sensation when he first came over, and was instantly straight on the pace, and it almost looked like he was going to be the next Casey Stoner.
Yeah, well, he
that's what I've heard anyway.
Davo's like wrong person.
Yeah. No. I'll big the guy up as much as possible because it was to a point. It was true, yeah. Where he came and just hit the ground running. He replaced. It was actually me in in 2004. I moved teams mid-season, and he actually replaced me. The bike was available, but he moved back to at the time they had a Superstock Cup class because there's so many Superstock competitors. They made two actual classes, and his first main rival to race with was this young upstart kid called Peter Hickman, who's no one had heard of at the time, but it was Billy and Pete going head to head at Mallory Park, both like 18-year-old kids, even 17 maybe, and on 1,000 cc's, and they put on a really, really good show. And from then on, that started Billy's career. Like he just flew in only the few days before to do it, and jumped on and won it. And then he after that replaced Jonathan Ray when he broke his leg at Red Bull Honda on 600s, and then Billy got a chance on that, did pretty good on that, and then sort of went to the R6 Cup the year after, and then won that. So he just impressed every time he jumped on a bike, really.
And was it around? I mean, what sort of year was it that you then started looking at road racing as an option over here?
That wasn't until later, because I come over to England really just to do short circuit. I didn't even think about the TT to begin with, but it was sort of I did got my first podium in Superstock in 2005, and was at the front all the time from then, and rode in the European Championship with Yamaha in 2006, 2007, and then come back to do Superbike, BSB Superbike from 2008, pretty much up till 2011. And I was always as soon as I was winning races out in the European stuff, and then when I come to the BSB, obviously it's a complete different level. I was nowhere really, like getting in the points if at best at the start, and I just felt that I deserved to be on a bit of a better bike, because I knew that I could do it, but some of the bikes that you're on in BSB, then they're not going to win as long as their arseholes point towards the ground, sort of thing. But it's so you need to be right on the best kit to do any good, as you know. Like it's a big thing, especially back then. There was a tire war. There was tires that were like 1.5 seconds quicker before you even get to the track. And then they got bikes with the trick electronics and stuff, and that's what it was like before the new rules where it's more governed, which made them a lot closer now. Like most teams can be competitive now, which is good, but back then it was so different. So I just got pissed off with that, really. I was in the top 10 at my last bit in the BSB, like at best anyway. Like 6th was my best result, and 6th or 7th, but when I just felt that I needed to be on a better bike, so I was looking at other avenues in my career and what to do to forward my career, and the opportunity was there to do the TT, and I was like, well, that's maybe I'll impress people at TT, and then come back to BSB, and then get a top bike, and then try and win races there, be on the podium. And it did sort of work to a point, but then in the end, ended up getting I got better rides, and my career definitely picked up, and I was actually starting to make decent money then, as well, which is good for my life. It's sure. And then but then you get the TT bug that grips you, and which Dom knows all about, and then it just sinks in, and then really that was all I wanted to focus on then. I went back to Superstock and had good results there, winning races and enjoying myself there. And then, but really, I just wanted to sort of more so focus on the TT. And now really, I'm not even fussed if I do a full BSB season. It's just my whole career changed up, and getting better bikes, obviously, and just enjoying myself. Because I've been there for so long now, 18 years. 2002 was my first year in BSB, and with all the pressure, and you know exactly what it's like, the pressure that you go through racing and the stress, and I just stopped enjoying it, to be honest. That sort of side, and then the roads is so enjoyable. You do put pressure on yourself, but it's a different sort of pressure, and it's a lot more enjoyment out of it, I feel. And that's why I'm sort of now. I mean, I'm a short circuit guy through and through, I feel, but it's I'm also a road guy now as well, which is not something I thought that was going to happen when I first went to England.
You see, what I love about these interviews is that you properly start to learn about someone. Like, to me, I had no idea about your short circuit experience, and obviously, no, that's being truthful. You know what I mean? I've only ever met you at a road race, and my immediate reaction is, he's just a road racer, you know. So obviously, to hear that career that you've had is unreal. But you see, what you are to me is in that very specialist boat now. You're essentially like James Hillier. It's like, what the hell do you do now before you turn up the TT? You know, you just turn up and you kick everyone's ass, and then you seem to go away till the classic TT, and then you do the same there. It's a bit like, all right, Davo, cheers, mate. Piss off.
Yeah, well, I do a bit of short circuit stuff out here, but whereas Chrissy knows, I've diced head to head with him when I come back. I like to do Thruxton, like because it's because if you sort of pick and choose in BSBs, it's very easy to get your freaking ass handed to you. So it's I like to do Thruxton every year if I can. I didn't do it last year, but I did it the last couple of years, and I like it because you can't no other teams can test there. Like, we go there and it's a level playing field. You go and that's it. Like, it's whereas if you go to Alton Park, there's guys that were there 7 times in a year and they're already up to pace, and I'm sitting there wobbling around. By the end of the weekend, I'm sort of at a good pace, and it's where I should have been at the start of the weekend. Whereas at Thruxton, everyone's in the same boat. So I do like to do a couple of BSBs every year if I can.
I remember a few years ago at Thruxton, I think it was 2016, and it was my first year on 1,000, and we pulled up with and we're setting up and we're getting the barbecue ready and stuff, and you and your mate turned up on was it like a borrowed bike or something, and you didn't have any settings or anything. You were just like, no, I'm just here for a big crack, and we looked after you all weekend with the food, and then we ended up dicing for about 8th or 9th place in the race. And I remember going into the last chicane. I think you passed us down the back straight, and I was so tempted to try and go around the outside, but I just thought, oh fuck it, I'll end up crashing. So
I know, but I remember that very well, because I knew your history and that you're an up and coming, like, fast. You definitely had speed. You even had speed then. It was 7th we were dicing for, I remember. But and on I passed you, and I'm like, oh fuck, here we go. Like, I'm just gonna get taken out here. And then went into the last corner, literally held my breath. You know, the Thruxton into the chicane, last chicane. I'm like, oh no, here we go. And but you didn't do anything, so I was happy as. And at that, I think I qualified right up there, but I got punted off twice in that race, like at that chicane, and it's because I think we were both at the front early on in the race, and then next thing I got punted off. You fucking got to settle back in, and so I was all pissed off to begin with. I was like, oh. And then when I passed you, I was like, oh, if he takes me out, it's just going to end the weekend the way it was going anyway. But you didn't, so I was happy with that. Thank you.
Now he's here on Chasin The Racin. Good thing you didn't knock him off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And obviously over the last few years, you know, it's but I mean, back then you were on the BMW, and then since then you've been short spell at Tyco BMW, you've been on the Norton, you've been on the Honda, you've been on the Gulf BMW, you've been obviously on the Ducati recently. So you've rode pretty much every manufacturer going. Other than have you done anything on the new Suzuki?
Not really. No, I've just not yet. Don't never say never. But it's not sort of the way I wanted it to happen. Really, I don't know what it is with me. Like, it's the teams that I ride for, they never really sign me up for the whole lot. Maybe they just sign me up just for the TT and a couple other bits. But like this year with the Honda thing, like I obviously wanted continuity. I thought I'd get that with Honda, but it turns out I rode like 3 other manufacturers the whole year, which is like weird. I don't think any other Honda rider's done that in a year. Once they sign for Honda, you sort of you can't even drive another car other than Honda. But I was even driving a Mondeo. It was all good. So it was Yeah, but it was so good. It went the way it worked out because I ended up riding for the best team, definitely the best team in England at Macau. So it's all it's all worked out good. But the only problem is now it's going to be tough to ride for anyone else now. They're ridden for the best team, but yeah, we'll see.
Oh, mate, I tell you what. Obviously, let's talk about Macau. You know what I mean? Because you instantly got on the bike. You never sat on the bike till Thursday. You know what I mean? And yeah, talk me through it. You know, how was the bike? Is it a case of you're going to go buy one, or you're going to try and blackmail Paul Bird with a dodgy photo and try and ride for him? What's the crack? Tell me about it.
Well, I definitely ain't going to buy one because that bike's worth about freaking £200,000 or something stupid.
You're a machinist. You're a CNC machinist. You can afford things like this. What you whinging at?
I haven't done machining for about 10 years now. Just been trying to live the dream. But so I jumped on it. I mean, I was worried about how I was going to feel on it because it is a big thing, Macau GP, and Bertie did say he would do a test day on it, but I was already in Australia, so I didn't want to go all the way back again. I've already done back and forth 4 times this year, twice back and forth. So I didn't want to bloody do it again. I just thought stuff. Well, Bertie said, "There's no pressure. Just come and enjoy yourself. We're there to enjoy it." So and I'm like, okay, cool. I'll just come and enjoy it then. And but obviously, I had it in the back of my mind. I wanted to do well. Like I didn't know where I'd fail. I didn't know if I'd be anywhere near the podium, or even if I'd have any top 10 pace. I didn't even know. But yeah, jumped on it, and I think my first session I was third on it. It was just suited me down to the ground. Like it barely changed the click on it, and it's Josh Brooks's bike, and it just come from winning the last 3 BSB races.
There must be an Australian setting, you know what I mean? So Billy McCormick will hop on that bike and go quick, could he? There you go.
Probably, yeah. But to be honest, me and Josh, with our settings, I rode with teammates with Norton, and our bikes couldn't have been any different. And I hated his settings, and he hated mine. So I was all like, oh man, at the start. I thought, maybe I should be on Scott's bike because that's like his height is taller than me, but is more my weight. It is a bit lighter still, but I thought maybe his settings would be better for me. But I jumped on Josh's, changed the foot pegs a little bit, handlebars, and barely changed the click. A little bit of ride height, but it was obviously at Macau, you don't have much time to, apart from learning the bike, you don't trying to change anything unless you're Gary Johnson. He seems to change everything. But
he started on a BMW.
So it was,
I was at you by the end of it, wasn't it? Or
I think so. I think he went to Yamaha a bit in the middle there too. Yeah, but no, so it just suited me, and I loved it, and I loved the team. It was crazy that they were telling me what I was doing before I'd even know, like just with the data, with Phil Borley going through stuff. I was so spun out about how in detail they go with all their data. It was awesome.
Obviously, it's probably difficult to compare all the bikes across the last few years that you've ridden at different tracks and stuff, but is there anything that stands out from each of the manufacturers, like a particular weakness or a particular strength, like across obviously the BMW, the Norton, the Honda, Ducati? Obviously, you're in quite a unique position that do you know what I'm saying, that you can compare quite a lot of them.
Yeah, a lot of them the teams was riding for as well, because I mean it's basically when you get a bike, and most of these teams were heavily funded, so it's all about the guys they had behind the TVs, behind the computers there working on it, and the technicians and stuff. It was like the Tyco team. That was a pretty awesome team to ride for. So professional, and I got that same sort of vibe when I was riding with Paul Bird's lot. Just with the way. It was like a well-oiled machine. The way the teams work, like, because it wasn't with mechanics that I worked with before. It was just I was in there, and I was doing it their way. It was I didn't want to come in and go, I want this, that, this, that, this, that. They'll just look at me and go, you fucking dickhead. But so I just wanted to come in and do it their way, and then see how we go. Because obviously, I'm a big believer in like knowing, like their previous history. they're that big of a team for a reason. So I was just my idea was to come in, completely do it their way, and then see how we go. And it worked with both of those teams. with the Honda setup, it was guys that I've worked with before. It was like a group of us going into another team, and that's why it was a complete excuse me, that was a complete different approach there. Whereas we'll fly in blind, we're just going in doing it our way rather than the opposite, and that worked for us really. So it's every team's got their strengths and weaknesses, but you got to get the best out of them. But yeah, like I said, with the Honda, that was because they come off having like 3 really crappy years, and they definitely didn't expect me to come in to do any good. I don't think that the other side of the garage was paid to do that, but that didn't happen. But we had to do it. We had to learn the thing and do it our way. My chief, Darren Gilpin, is a legend. He's by my side. Hopefully next year as well. We're sorting things out. And so it's it was different the way to go into those teams, like because obviously one round with each of those top teams, it was a different way of going about it.
Like we talk quite a bit on the podcast about the Honda and obviously new bikes coming out, but we've said for a while that like the bike that's been out this year seems a bit like sort of long in the tooth compared to the BMWs and the likes. And obviously you did a mega job to get the podium this year at the TT on it by what was the margin? It was something ridiculously close on it at the end.
0.2, yeah, me and Dunlop.
Yeah. But yeah, obviously you must have been mega chuffed with that. What, from your opinion, were you, did you feel like the Honda was a weaker bike than the ones that you were racing against, or do you feel like it's, did you feel it was competitive or?
Well, definitely the Superbike I thought was going to be competitive, but the first race was only a 2-lapper. It was a two laps, yeah. And the senior race broke down on lap 2. So I felt the Superbike was our best opportunity at getting a good result, because through testing and that it was super fast, and the times were showing at the Castle Coombe there. It was like faster than Honda had ever done at the time. And me and Hutchie were both on the same pace, so I thought we were both going to have a really, really good TT. But when Hutchie had his crash at the start of practice, it sort of went downhill from there for him. But definitely the super stock bike it felt good on a short track, but I just didn't think it was going to have the speed at the TT to get a result. It was the last bike I expected to get on the podium on, that's for sure. But the good thing is it handled really well. It definitely didn't have the speed. Like when I caught up to Michael Rudder, and I was writing his draft down Solby Straight, and I was like, I had to get past him or even let him know I'm there, so I didn't get sort of balked through the from Ginger Hall to Ramsey. So I got in his slipstream. I got really good slipstream and leveled with him. And the next thing I started going backwards again. But luckily he saw me. He saw me there, so he sort of rolled off and let me through. But so yeah, there was definitely a speed disadvantage with the stocker, and I think it was their first podium on Superstock since 2014. And but yeah, so it was unexpected to be on there then. But I was all pumped for the senior, and it was looking good as well at the time when it broke down. But yeah, it is what it is. But definitely it's a good bike. It had its strengths and weaknesses like everything else, but the like I say, Superstock was the least expected podium, that's for sure.
So okay, right, I'm gonna put this question straight out there. Are you gutted that for some god unknown reason they haven't offered you a job again? Wait, the fact is, the whole right. I am the simple one on this show. We've got Chrissy, then you've got me. And I see what the rest of the public see. And the fact is, you've delivered a result that warrants a future, a future with a manufacturer. You've delivered a podium after years of, quite frankly, being shite. And so you know, to not get that phone call, you know, wait, what was reaction? You know, when did you find out? How did you find out?
Well, there was it's actually what a lot of people don't know is that it's two separate teams that are the team I rode for last year is Honda Europe, and the team that they've got this year is Honda Britain, Honda UK, and Honda Europe is no longer. So that team, they had the world's endurance team as well. So there's a few dramas.
It's Brexit. Yeah. It's Brexit's fault. Blame Brexit.
That old chestnut. But we were working in the same workshop in Honda Britain workshop in Louth. So that team was gone, and I just assumed that I was going to get an email, to be honest. And the new guy that runs it now, he runs the British team. He was all there and all happy and hugging me after the podium, but yeah, I mean, it did it on the old shit box, and then if we got the new one coming, I think it would be a lot easier to get a podium on that. But whatever their reasoning is unknown to me. But I didn't chase it like Hutchie says, like our worth is more than us chasing, so they've got to chase us really. If they want results, they can come and they can give me a call. They got my number. But if they don't, then whatever. I'll get replaced with a newcomer. So I don't know what that reasoning is there.
Do you on that topic? Are you expecting much from Glenn Irwin and Davey Todd on those bikes?
Well, Davey definitely is an up and coming. Is a good, really really good rider. They're both talented riders. I mean, but Glenn's a newcomer. And I remember Honda saying years ago after they took Simon Andrews on. In his second year, and he had a big crash, and then they said after that they're never going to take rookie riders. So they've completely gone against what they stood by back then. But I mean, I really like Glenn. He's a good mate of mine. I just hope that he's doesn't go to the pressure. I mean, but he's always on good bikes, is Glenn. So I'm sure he knows what to do. And yeah, I mean, the TT is a different animal. He's done well at Macau and Ulster and Northwest as Glenn. So it's but the TT, like you know, Dom, is a complete different beast. So it takes a lot more precision and a lot more thought going into it. So which I'm sure is a professional rider. I'm sure he'll do it properly, the way that he should do it as a newcomer, and doesn't try and go for or if his one goal in mind is to be fastest newcomer ever, that's not the way to do it. You just got to go out and have fun.
Yeah,
and I'm sure he will.
Just before we move on from the, talking about comparing the bikes and the different teams you've ridden for, out of all of the team bosses, so Sean Muir, Paul Bird, Stuart Gardner, Hector Neal, the guy that you dealt with at Honda, out of all of the team bosses, who would you pick if you were making like a dream team for yourself? Which boss would you pick?
Nice.
Well, I've got to say,
not like putting you on the spot, like.
Well, don't worry. None of them listen. None of them listen to this show, so you can tell us. Don't worry about it, son.
Well, the way I've always got along with Paul Bird. I've seen him around, and always we sort of connect at the after parties and stuff. And I just think he's a really cool guy, and I think that's why he likes me as well, because we always get along at those sort of situations. And we had a really good time at Macau, and just the way what he's in it for, like his objective, and he's just in it for the enjoyment. If he doesn't enjoy it, and if he thinks you're a cockhead, he'll tell you you're a cockhead as well. And but if he just is there to enjoy his racing, that's all he's there for. So I think I really like the way he works, and he was so into it at Macau. I was surprised as well. Like he'd come in after like winning the BSB championship again, and 1 and 2, and won the last 3 races at Brands Hatch. Like. But he was right there in it at Macau. He was happy with the way I was going, and his enthusiasm was more than I thought it would after a full season. But yeah, so I like the way he works. I think, I think that's a good thing.
Me and Don were talking actually on the last podcast about the thought of seeing the Ducatis at the Isle of Man and how they would go at the TT course, is there a possibility that Paul could be racing at the TT next year?
That's a possibility. It's it's a never say never, but it depends. It all depends on what Ducati want to do for him. Like he's not overly. I mean, he'd said he'd like to do it, and there was talk of it at Macau as well. And as everyone's seen, there's talk all over the internet with John as well. Which, that
would be mega. We would love to see that.
Yeah,
like
and I think that bike would be a weapon there as well. And being teammates with John at Macau as well, that was absolutely unreal. I was in awe at the beginning, but then I got to see John in a different light now. Like I got to know him a lot better, and if that would be cool if we were together. But
and you're both like a pint. So there you go. You're both like a pint. Yeah. You both race bikes fast, and you both get along with Paul Bird. So I think you should just tell everyone now. I think you just tell everyone now that Paul Bird, you're racing for him. Just say it. Go on.
Well, don't worry. There's a lot of pissed up talk at Macau afterwards, but there's definitely there's nowhere near pen to paper with anything. But and I'm up in the air with there's still other teams I'm talking to, so it's as far as next year goes, I've still got no idea at all what colour the bike will be. It's
lots to consider. Lots to consider. So, all right, out of all the whole year combined, obviously with winning the Classic TT as well in the Superbike race, what has been your personal outstanding moment? Your favourite moment.
The Classic TT win. That was pretty special. I mean, it's again with Dyson head to head with Dunlop as we were in the Superstock TT, and although everyone gets bad luck every now and again. Usually it's me. So for once, I got good luck. His one races like that as well when people are broken down. So I took that, and there's nothing better. It's like Dom because you've been in there as well winning. So when you turn right and you go straight to that number one spot, mate, that feeling that you get there, that's way bigger than like any bit the Superstock BSB wins that I've had. It's just absolutely canes it, and it's on a classic. It's a classic superbike as well. So I can't imagine what it's going to be like when I do win a proper TT, big bike TT.
That's more like it. That's what we like to hear. Well, hold on. Well, me and Chrissy were having a chat with one of your sponsors and Chrissy's sponsors at XL Signs based in Washington here, and he was actually referring to his outstanding moment off your good self, and apparently you've had a TV appearance on Meet the Parents. Would you like to tell everyone on Chasin The Racin what that was about? Because me and Chris, go on. How am I?
You're digging up the past now. You're like
no, it's great. Go on.
Hank was saying something about it was an ex-girlfriend, and then there's actors for their parents. So like it's you think you thought you were actually meeting her parents, and then they basically just take the piss and like keep pushing your buttons until you're eventually twigged.
Yeah, that was it. And it was on E4 Channel 4 channel, and it was was a highly viewed episode apparently. Much to my disgust, but it was pretty embarrassing.
Oh my god, that's brilliant. Anyway, swiftly moving.
Another topic that I
don't Google it.
Another topic that I wanted to ask you about is obviously you have a lot of personal sponsors on your helmet, like our joint sponsor Gareth Hankinson. Another one that's been on your helmet for quite a while now, and a brand that I'm not really familiar with, but it seems to be getting out and about a bit, is Rich Energy. Is it energy drink?
Yeah, Rich Energy. Yeah, they come on board more so this year. They took over the main, like the full helmet design, so my helmet's blacks because of them. Uh-huh. But that's a bit of a controversial brand. They're sponsoring the Haas Formula One team. If you follow Formula One, it's all over the side of the car there. but only till I think just after halfway through the season. But just it was a nice energy drink, and it's run by a dude that's well into racing, but he's got his ways of getting the brand out there, which you got to admire really. But so that hopefully they're on board for next year as well. But good old Rich Energy. So it was with this year. Hutchie is a monster athlete, and I was with Rich Energy. So the monster guys are coming in, seeing all the Rich Energy cans around, and just querying that a bit. But so there's a bit of rivalry between the side of the garages there as well, between energy drinks.
So where are Rich Energy based? Are they like a home brand? Are they Australian or Taiwanese? Where are they from?
It's British. It's based in London. Rich
Right.
Energy is named after Richmond. It's based. The offices are in Richmond, London.
Oh, this is good to hear. Well, I'm a hyperactive little shit anyway, so this is a product that really screams to me. You know what I mean? I love me sugar.
You don't need any friggin' energy drinks, mate.
On that topic, like obviously, we asked you about your relationship with Guy Martin. Obviously, sharing the garage at Honda with Hutchie this year. Do you get on well with Hutchie? How?
I do, yeah. We've always got along well. At the start, it was a bit tense in the team. It was more of a rivalry with one of his mechanics in particular. That was, it was. But he sort of left at the TT. But so there was more of a rivalry with the mechanics at the start than the riders. But me and Hutchie always got along good. Once that all sort of got sorted out with the mechanics and that we're all getting along. But it was quite a smooth run then, and me and Hutchie were helping each other as much as we could. Hutchie had those problems where he crashed at the 11th milestone, and that it spooked the shit out of me when I saw his bike there, because it's not a place you want to crash, about 140 miles an hour.
Jesus.
And he was luckily okay, but lost a lot of confidence. So I was helping him try to get through that really. But I think his TT was over at that point. His sort of head was gone. He just couldn't wait for it to finish. But yeah, between me and him, we got along really well.
So, well, what's the plans over the winter then? You know, what's the coming plans? Because I hear you're getting married. Obviously, me and Chrissy are quite. If he flies out to Australia, you know, we quite happily turn up, mine. Quite happily turn up.
Yeah, so I'm getting married in February.
Congratulations!
It's going to be good. Thanks, mate. It's going to be a good day. So hopefully it's not too hot. That's the problem with over here in that time of year. It's like 40 odd degrees, and we're getting married at a winery, and then having the after party in a big barn shed. So yeah, hopefully that's like I say, not too hot. But other than that, just I'm doing a fair few race schools over here, and I've got the Island Classic at Phillip Island coming up in January. So that's my next big race.
If you need a teammate, I know me way around the odd classic bike, so you know, just give me a shout if you need a teammate.
You should put your word in there, because the British team, they're bringing some people over, the UK team. So you've definitely got to get your feelers out for that one. But you can't be my teammate because you're not Australian. I'm in the Australian team.
Oh no, my Australian accent's good. Like it's terrible, to be fair. It's terrible.
Couldn't imagine your accent being any good.
You said Billy's coming back home. Do you two like train together through the winter, do you do any motocross or anything like that?
We do a lot of cycling. Before New Year's, we sort of cycle from pub to pub. But after New Year's, we're definitely New Year's is the cut-off date for knuckling down and getting the year sorted. Like a lot of people don't. Well, I don't post about me training and stuff like everyone else has to these days. You got the old saying, or the saying now is that if you didn't post about it, you didn't do it.
Didn't actually do it.
So I just go about my business, and I do train. But it's so after New Year's, me and Bill, we knuckle down, and Bill trains really hard. So if I just when he's fully fit, I just try and keep up really, because he's a freaking fit bastard he is. But and again, he doesn't post about it either; just gets it done. Yeah. But so that's what we'll do after New Year's. And then we've got a load of race schools with Levi Day as well. He's got a race
seen
school.
that,
He's got a race school at Matt Gambia. So me and Bill going to do that, and that's hard work. Levi works us to the bone there. So, and most of those days are like 40 degrees as well, and it's 3 days in a row. We would do like 130 laps a day. It's freaking mad.
Jesus, is the racing quite well followed over where you're from? Like, do you get many like sort of biking fans recognizing you when you're out and about, or is it not much of a following?
A little bit. Every now and again, it's not too bad. Like the other day, I was at the airport, and this dude was walking through with a Davo shirt on, and I was like, "Jesus, that's a bit weird." Like, just spun me out. And then he caught a glimpse of me, and then he was waving, and so I had a chat with him. But it doesn't happen very often. It does happen. There's bike fans around, yeah, but it's definitely nowhere near the following that in England. Like it's. England is strong for motorbike racing, but Australia is a little bit lacking. But the TT following from Australia is bigger than the Australian Superbike Championship, without a doubt. There's more spectators that come every year to the TT from Australia than they do to every Australian Championship round. It's pretty crazy. So that's sort of the mainstream sort of publicity that the TT gets. It just it's really good. So it's good for us riding there, but it's not good for the old Australian Superbike guys. Which are all world class. Like it's a tough championship out here, but it just hasn't really got the following, unfortunately.
Yeah, because you're the fastest Australian at the TT now, aren't you?
Yeah, buddy.
Well, it's controversial actually, because I'm not actually. Josh Brooks just got it the other year, because I broke down in the last. On paper, if you look at my, got to go to my sectors is like my best sector time is like 32.8 is my best of my sectors together. But in the senior, as you know, Dom, the senior is the best time. Like the last time of the senior is usually when everyone goes their fastest, and I've broken down the last 2 years. So I've got to look at my sectors.
131s. Are you both? 31?
I'm 31 and a half, but I did that in 2015, and Josh did 31.7 on the Norton, which is fair play. Yeah, it's not. We're both the same. We both did 130.8 the year before on the Norton, so it was it definitely is. They're getting better with that Norton. It's getting there slowly. It's just you need a jockey on it that's going to wring the crap out of it. Which,
do you reckon?
I mean, John come back this year. He had the problems in the senior, which it's not going to leave anyone with any confidence.
No,
but he didn't get the opportunity really to give it what it had. But
do you reckon they'll be back then? Because Norton have been very quiet with everything, like very quiet.
Possibly, if they get the right rider, they'll come back. I think. They need a rider that's going to push it over what Josh did, which is to find someone that's going to do 131.5 on a Norton is tough. But if they find the right jockey, they might come back. I think so. We'll wait and see.
Spot on. Well, I think we've just went over the hour mark, so we'll wrap things up. And time flies when you're having fun, Ed. We're both
really up anyway.
We're about to go to bed.
I'm still in bed. I'm actually still in bed.
Good man.
I'll go back to sleep.
We both really appreciate you coming on the podcast anyway, and thanks very much. We obviously wish you all the best for next year. Hope you get the deal that you deserve. And when will you be coming back over to the UK?
I usually come just before the TT launch. Leave it as late as possible. Sometimes I've gone straight to the launch. So I'll wait and see. I'm not because I've got a full life here now with my family. I spend as much time as I can in Australia now. So and obviously want to spend time with my family. So so I'll be leaving it as late as possible, like I always do. So probably about March or late March, I think.
Excellent. Well, hope the wedding goes really well, and all the best with that. If anyone's listening and wants to get in touch, obviously you're on social media like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all the rest of it. What's your Twitter names and stuff?
Twitter and Instagram, Davo Johnson 20, and my Facebook page is Davo Johnson, Aussie Bike. So look it up.
And do you sell like any merchandise or anything?
Well, basically,
I do, but I just do that on my Facebook, and that I'll post that stuff. I'll have just t-shirts. I did t-shirts for the first time this year, but I'll have some stuff available this year for next year.
Spot on. Now, everyone who retweets this podcast is the winner that we're going to select is going to get a ticket to your pretty much reception to the wedding. So if you could bang over a couple of tickets, that would be awesome, mate. You know what I mean? So that's flights first
tickets,
class, because we're not, we don't deal with animals. We've got classy people who listen to this. So if you could just bang them over, that would be awesome.
Done, mate. Done.
Well, thanks very much, and we'll let you get back to Cape and catch up when you're back over in the UK.
Cheers, guys, legends. Nice work.
Cheers, mate. See you in a bit. Bye.
Catch ya. Cheers, boys.
So big thanks to Davo for coming on Chasin The Racin and joining us. Obviously, waking him up nice and I was saying nice and early. I think, what was it, 8 o'clock or something?
The lazy bugger's still in bed doing this. He's making money literally lying on his back. I'm not saying he's a prostitute, but he'll do anything for cash, that lad.
Great lad, Dave, wasn't he?
Oh, definitely. Like, the saying gets thrown around too often these days. He's a genuine lad. He doesn't seem to have any ego attached to him, and you think that's a hell of a trait to find in people. Never mind, professional athletes, which is refreshing. Is refreshing.
Like we were saying, sorry, I've just got a bit of ice. Like so, how good would it be to see him and McGuinness on the Ducatis at the TT next year? I don't know. I really don't know if that's going ahead or not. But I really hope Paul Bird and Ducati come to a decision and they get something sorted. Cause
it's a case of Paul Bird's been there, done it. He's been there. He's got the T-shirt. He's won TTs before. So I just think it'll be a bit more of a passion thing for him,
And I've heard McGuinness speak quite a bit recently, and to me, he sounds like he really, really wants to come back and really do something again.
But look what he did at Macau. He's back on the pace. He's back with a team he enjoys. Obviously, we'll never know the ins and outs with the Norton crackers and everything like that, but you can tell immediately that their friendship and obviously a competitive bike, and John's straight back up there. We'll have to try and get him on the show, Chrissy. We'll have to try and get him on, or even we'll go down to Morecambe, we'll get a pint with him, obviously film one from there, but he'll probably actually can. No. But if you are listening, John, we'd love to get you on.
Yeah, it would be great to get on. And like we say, obviously we're up early, nice and early in the morning for work, so we'll be shooting off soon. But just a few quick things before we wrap up. Since our last podcast, there's been a few new announcements in the BSB world. So we've got Hector Barbera's joining OMG BMW, so that team's switched over to BMW for this year. On the last episode we were talking about what was getting announced, and so we mentioned the Bradley Ray Taylor Mackenzie, Keith Farmer and Kyle Ride situation, which were all we were talking about this rumour mill, and all of those came true. So bringing the news,
we're bringing the future. I'd like to take full credit for the Keith Farmer thing, you and me, because without you and me and Chasin The Racin, he wouldn't have got a job. So hopefully Davo gets a job after this. There you are.
So that's Barbera. Gino Ray's back with the Dave Tyson squad. I think Bike Devil Ducati. So they've bought a Ducati. I presume it'll be Tommy Bridewell's off this year, but I may be wrong with that. But so they've bought a Ducati to challenge for the BSB title next year. Obviously, Gino's never really, since being in BSB, he's never really been a contender at the front. But getting on the Ducati, it was a dominant bike this year. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And also, Danny Kent is back in the British Superbike paddock, albeit the Superstock class, the same as me, and he's actually on for the team that I was riding for last year. So he's on the Morello Kawasaki. Obviously, a lot of controversy around that signing. There's a lot of opinions flying around on the old social media, and I think everyone, including myself, is trying to get there's jokes everywhere.
Opinions are like arseholes. Everyone's got one, haven't they? So proof's in the pudding on the track, and
it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. Obviously, top class rider, world champion, genuine world champion.
Yeah.
2 years ago, he was teammates with Quartararo, and he was actually faster than Quartararo a lot of the time. You look now, Quartararo is probably the next best thing in the world for motorbike racing. Like, not including Marc Marquez, like coming up, Quartararo has been unbelievably impressive this year. So Danny's obviously 100% undoubtedly got the ability,
the skills, yeah.
But it's no easy task coming over to Superstock. It's a proper competitive class, and we'll have to see. But what's your opinion? What do you think? Do you think he'll do anything? Are you expecting him to be winning races? Do you feel like he should have been given a second chance after the incident?
Well, to put it blunt, his personal life is his personal life. As far as his motorcycle career is concerned, he's got nothing to prove really. He's been world champion. He's done this, he's done that, and I think what people take for granted is how competitive stock 1000 racing is, you know what I mean, and how the BSB series in general, and it's something that you can't take lighthearted. So yeah, it'll be he's not going to come near you, son.
Well, it'll certainly be interesting. I am expecting him to be very strong competitor.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, he's a fantastic rider, but I'm really pleased that he's in the championship.
Yeah,
and I think it's when you think of you need big names and big personalities. He's a massive talking point. Everyone's going to be watching him to see what happens.
Good for him, good for the sport, good for everyone. So
that's it, and I really hope as we talked at the time. We don't know the ins and outs of the case. We just see what we read in the media.
Exactly.
And I really hope that this is a turning point in not only in his career but in his life, because over the last few years things have went really down south. And hopefully this is the opportunity that he needs. And
the twist to the plot.
Yeah, credit to my old team, Steve Buckingham, for giving him that opportunity, because a lot of the bigger, like sort of, certainly the manufacturers sort of couldn't really sign him because of his because of
the situation,
the questionable situation. So fair play to Steve for giving him the opportunity, and his I think Platform Hire have stuck with him, so fair play to them. And I really hope that he can turn his life around and
definitely
get back on the straight and narrow. So that's Danny, Gino and Barbera. Also, we've got some competition, lad. We've got some competition on the podcast front.
Aye, some road racer. What's his name? He won the senior this year. Kawasaki, really nice lad. Drinks a lot of tea.
He is a great lad as well.
What's his name?
We didn't you message him to get him on this podcast at some point?
Oh, that was ages ago. But
he must have pied us knowing that he was going to be setting up himself.
That's it. I know. So obviously on the old Twitter there, the old social media, Dean Harrison is starting up his own podcast. So he hasn't got a name for it yet or anything like that. But I'll tell you what, Dean, he's a very switched on lad, his knowledge behind the sport and the actual mechanical side of it, the engineering, he's always a hands-on lad. So I think it'll be a very interesting podcast, like it really will be.
Definitely.
So I don't know. Any name recommendations or anything like that?
I was going to tweet him back with my suggestion, Chasin The Hickman.
Oh, wait. But no, I'll tell you what, it will be good to see, because I'll tell you what, speaking of Dean, I'd love to get him on the show, and so would you.
Yeah, we've said for ages, he's a great lad.
And he's such a well-liked lad as well. And his podcast will definitely take off. Hopefully not bigger than this one, but you never know. 5-star reviews.
Speaking of 5-star reviews, really pleased to see them all flooding in, and it is real nice to get, we get emails and messages, people listening literally from all over the world, and it really does lift us, getting these random messages just saying how much you're enjoying the podcast, or like if you liked a particular joke or anything. It's we do genuinely really appreciate it. So thanks for all of all of the support and listeners and everything. And I think that's about it. I'm afraid I can't actually do a podcast next week because my dad's going to be doing a track day out in España.
España.
And I'm going to be going out to watch him for a few days. So, unfortunately,
It's like role reversal. You have to keep an eye on your dad.
I know,
you know what I mean?
is,
It's like, pull your finger out, you knacker.
What about yourself? Are you busy over the next week or so?
Just cutting trees, man. Meant you're in Spain.
Living the dream, eh?
I'm not living the dream. You're the one off to Spain with your girlfriend, off to have a chat with your dad. You lucky swine. You lucky swine.
Do you know what? I've just booked these flights, and for those that don't know, a lot of the lads in the UK do track days out in Almeria and Cartagena. Especially Almeria, focused events have got basically got the lease for the track, so that you can basically drop your bike off and all your kit off at, like, say, Donington Park. And for something around the region of 400 quid, 420 quid, you get your bike shipped out to southern Spain. You get 4 nights in a hotel and 4 days on track for like 420 quid. So and obviously if you book a track day, even in the summer in the UK, it's sometimes like half and half if it's going to be good weather or not, and all. You have loads of problems. So it's almost like guaranteed dry track time. You get out there, it's great fun. You're all together in the hotel. It's a mega few days, and my dad's only actually got into it over the last few years, which has been funny because he spent the last 10 years or something taking me to all these racetracks, watching me have all the fun, and it's nice to see him enjoying a bit. And our loyal mechanic Piggy's going out, and
he hasn't had a shout out for a while, mind, has he? Obviously it's all dried up on the racing front, so I have to get Piggy in as a guest.
I've also got Piggy tickets for the awards night tomorrow night, so we'll see him there.
Oh, well, unlike you, he likes a couple of pints, so at least I've got someone to have a bit of crack with.
Yeah, that's it. And so he and loads of my sponsors are out there as well at the same time. So I'm really looking forward to that. But we'll get back the following week and we'll get a good podcast booked in. So we've got a few guests.
Hopefully Dean Harrison.
Yeah, we've got a few potential guests in the pipeline. So I'll get something sorted. And really looking forward to that. Anything else?
Nah.
So just
over and out, Jürgen.
Yeah, big thanks to our sponsors, In Contango Training, and of course to all of our patrons. And we'll catch up a couple of weeks.
Enjoy Spain.
Yeah, thanks very much, mate. All the best. I'll catch you in a bit.
See you in a bit, son.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.